Good morning out there. Let's double check, make sure we're running smooth as we usually are. And we is. All right. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Resales. My name's Ryan. I get stuff from yard sales, garage sales, thrift stores, and similar other places. Try to make a few extra bucks online. Had a really good sales weekend this weekend. 13 sales since like noon Friday, all through the weekend, and it with really good return. Let's see how much I haven't shipped anything, but we're gonna go. That's the wrong button. And I'm gonna do a quick look at my sales results. Last 7 days, grossed 562 bucks. Which means I'm gonna probably put about 300 in my pocket. Give or take once this is all done. So hitting some good numbers here this weekend was really blowing some stuff out. So we're going to jump into that. Lots of action figures sold. Handful of other stuff. So thankfully some stuff that's been sitting around a little bit has finally getting out the door too. So we're gonna jump into that, and we'll move along. All right. All right, just making sure. Okay, making sure a couple messages got answered. Selling. No, not that button. That button right there. All right. Low to high. Low, starting with a couple books that I put somewhere over here. They were here, and then I moved them. Where did I move them? There. All right. Here we go. Books. We've got The Swordsman of Mars in the old Earth and Sword and Planet paperback. This is not one of the Edgar Rice Burroughs books. This is sort of a I'll use the word knockoff here of somebody who probably liked his books and wanted their own story on Mars. So anyway, $8 for that. And then Spider-Man Venom's Wrath. This went for $10. I've come across a handful of these. There's a couple that are worth a little bit more, between 10 and $20 of these 1990s Spider-Man novels. So keep an eye out for them. There's a couple worth decent, even if they're mint. So I've actually sold a couple of these, three of this series this year. Clothing. This is something I thought would be more because I know that there's a style out there. This is a flannel dress. Sort of, I think the term is cottage core, and maybe I didn't have it done right, but flannel dress for this went for $12. I thought that I kind of hit. I have another one similar to it that hasn't sold. I got them like this past summer or something, maybe even last year when it was cold. But this went for $12. So that was a little bit of a miss, but that's fine. It cost me $1. All right, a couple other. We're going to go over a few of the other esoteric things from the Heresy box. Underneath this mess. There you are. From the Heresy box, a Japanese Book of Mormon. This one for $25. Yep, 95 Japanese Book of Mormon, $25. So found this in a interesting pile of other stuff. It was with that was a neat sale. And it's going to be in here. There's another neat book that I'll go over if I remember. That's like really kind of cool, and I almost want to keep it, but need the money more than I need the book. All right, another book. History of York County, Nebraska. That wound up in Middle Georgia. Okay, whatever. $34. Local history sells. Uh, Particularly real like stuff that's like limited production. Local history. There's a handful. Sometimes you can maybe some pop stuff, but local history. And it's a now it's going to sit. It's probably going to sit. It actually may not sit as long as you think. Good morning, Kevin. Good to have you. Uh, but that's what you got to do for uh, local history. Hang on to them. They may not sit as long as you think. So, anyway, that's what's rolling. Next, before we get to the toys, it's a handlebar. I scored 2 of these at a local thrift store. Where is it? This is a Vortex Racing handlebar for like motocross. I don't know. This one for $25, and thankfully I have a long box to throw it in. I hope. It's one of those things that you keep. If you've done eBay for any amount of time, you know that particularly if you primarily do clothes and books, there are certain size boxes that you know you need to hang on to, but you only need to like have one around at a time. And this is why, because you have something like this you got to throw in. So long skinny boxes, you stash them to the side, out of the way, and always make sure you have one because you know you're going to need it, but you know you're just not going to be a long time. All right, on to the action figure sales. Let's see, can we go bottom to top here? Or does it matter? Okay, we're going to start off with something really unusual on this. And this was something I didn't realize I know I had. I bought it at a thrift store. I didn't look them up because it's one of those things that there's a lot of parts and pieces involved to it. Or more, actually, it's less than I thought there was. But I needed to take some time to deal with it. And I finally did the end of last week. And I think it's going to turn out pretty good. But what I got were several boxes of accessories for 6-inch action figures. And these are actually, I didn't know it at the time. I thought these were just parts and pieces that somebody just pulled off. But then I started looking into them and then I realized, wait a minute, these are some more high-end stuff. And what I wound up with are like parts from Mezco USA specialty sets or something that they make for action figures. And this is a set for Spider-Man. And it actually has Tom Holland's head on some of it. Like his actual, like actual Tom Holland. But in here, a guy messaged me and said, dude, I need the glasses out of there. What do you want for them? Glasses for a 6-inch action figure. See? Glasses for a 6-inch action figure. That. $15. Dude's paying $15 for that. He says, pull them out. And that's what they go for. Between 15 and 20 bucks. So I said, okay. And I still have the rest of this I can sell. This is probably the rest of this may go between 20 and 30 bucks. And I've got several bags of this. And some of these may be worth, I don't know that I have $100 bag here. There's some I've got priced pretty high. But all of these are minimum like $20, $30. And some of these may be in the $50 to $70 range for each of these bags. So 6-inch action, just keep your eyes open. A lot of guys do stuff for custom work still in the action figure world. Actually, I have a few sales here that may actually reflect that. So at least one other sale that reflects that. So there's that. All right, moving on. This individual figure with the thing from Ghostbusters. He does that, and he goes, rawr, like that. So, and this guy transforms into a monster too. So, yeah, rah. So, anyway, this was $24. These two guys together went for $24. Vintage Ghostbusters still does okay. There's a handful of things that that go really well, particularly if they're like complete sets with accessories. There's a handful of accessories that are still kind of expensive. I don't think there's anything on the level like some of the rare GI Joes or Transformers, but there's still some stuff out there. All right, next, let's roll through these bags. I saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags of action figures this weekend for good prices. So this, for those of you who aren't, this is, I've said before, my favorite action figure line of all time, Superpowers. And that's what this bag is. It is a little bit of a loose. This is Lex Luthor from Superpowers. Now, Kenner, that toy line took the Superpowers molds to make its Robin Hood figure line without all the power action and stuff, but they just used the straight molds. So that is what several of these are. This is how many figures? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 figures that went for $30 shipped from the Superpowers molds line. I sold them. I made sure I custom fodder lot. So that's what that went for. Now the Robin Hood figures don't sell great by themselves, but they do. If I see them for like $1 or less, I grab them because I know I can line them up for maybe in the $3 range. And you have to market them like that for the Superpowers customizer crap. So that's what that's for. All right, let's grab a new bag. This is, all right, yep. This bag is like all Ninja Turtles, like actual Ninja Turtles variants and all that sort of thing. This bag went for $38. There's 10 figures in here, but this has a bunch of real similar figures like this guy. Different Ninja Turtles and crazy costumes like they had sometimes. But this bag went for $38 for 10 figs. So, and that's what your standard 1980s action figures without accessories sometimes go for if they're not like some rare or grail figure. $3 to $5, give or take. Sometimes a little bit more depending on what they are. In some of these lines. Let's see. This is 11 Ninja Turtle figures in here, and these went for $70. I think there's a couple of $10 figures in here, which is why these went for this high. So Rat King, this Taurus Bull guy, General Trag with his arms. I think his arms come off. One of his hands comes off really easily. A handful of guys like that. There's a Shredder in here. There's a Krang in here. But this lot went for $70. And this is one I did. I needed a way to sort them somehow, and so I did. Okay, I just did these action figure lot and Shredder, but this is like all villains for the series. Let's see. This bag is the mid-90s DC Comics Total Justice figures. This bag went for $25 for 10 figures, but this really isn't a high demand line. This is back in the epitome of your I think it's one of the popular terms is dork age of comics. This is back where anti-heroes were really popular and everything was extreme in the 90s. So this is sort of extreme superhero lot. So I'm actually surprised that sold faster than some of the other ones I've got. Do I have another lot that you go through? Where is that? Got one more bag. There it is. And this is the 1990s X-Men action figure lot. This went for $30 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 10 figures with some accessories in it. So another like $3 ish of figures. Old Wolverine from the 1990s. I may have to keep the next one. I'll find those. So Jean Grey, Dark Phoenix. None of these in this line I think are super rare. So at least I've never come across any. So that's a bunch of those. And that this stuff is still sells. In lots particularly, there's of course you have your rares in every line and that sort of thing. Not a lot of those were in these lots. I did sell a couple, and I did have sold a handful of individual figures. That's what came out of those. So we're just moving along with those sales, and they're cranking through. So handful of finds from last couple weeks. I got a couple things listed. This is the one I think I really want to show everybody. Is this one? Where'd you go? There you are. This is probably the most fun find I had over the last few weeks. This is a copy of The Hobbit in Russian that I got at a yard sale. It's clean. It's a real nice edition. It's actually a little difficult to determine the value of this specific one. It hasn't sold for $200. That's why I started at. I think I found a Fellowship of the Ring that was at $200 that hadn't sold. So let's try that level, and then I'll probably just draw it down by about $20 at a time. But this is a fun copy. Nice copies of The Hobbit sell, by the way. So, but I just saw a book, and that was a foreign language book that looked nice. I was like, it was $1. Sure, why not? I'll grab it. Some other fun finds. Didn't think this book. You probably wouldn't think this book would be that expensive. This is a book about backgammon, history, strategies, and there's chess level strategy stuff. I mean, stuff that you see in chess books is in this book about how to do backgammon and backgammon strategy. This is like a $60 book that I snagged at a thrift store. So this is a really fun find. But yeah, specific games, the books that are that thick, chess books that are real hyper specific, grab them and look them up. I've had pretty good success with chess books. I still have a couple, but I've really had some decent success. Let's see, paleontology, illustrated history. This was a fun. I thought these would be worth more than this, but these are books about Range Rovers and Land Rovers. 3 books here. I'll line these up, and I think we'll end with this. Encyclopedia of Philosophy. There's 4. I got 4 books, and that's a pretty good, expensive set. And so that's what we got today. So, and I got a couple things out there kind of pending. A couple of people asking questions about some stuff over the weekend. So communicate with your buyers. Try to meet them where they are. See if you can sell a pair of miniature glasses for action figures for $15. Okay. Anyway, y'all have a good one. Get some stuff sold, and I'll catch you. Oh, like, comment, subscribe, or not. You can do either. I don't know. It's nice. Y'all be good. Bye.